From the day I entered Mrs. Kistler's kindergarten class in DeSoto, I've spent most of my life trying to surpass the expectations of teachers. In grade school, in high school, and at the University of Missouri, where I was an undergrad in law school. And today is no exception. I may be the governor of Missouri, as I stand here with the eyes of hundreds of teachers upon me, and I'm still feeling the heat. So let me get right to the point. If there's one thing I'd like you to take away from our meeting this morning, it's this. What you do matters. It always has, and it always will. It seems to be fashionable in some quarters these days to bash public education. We hear a lot of sweeping assertions like, our public schools are failing, our teachers aren't up to par, or our kids are falling behind our peers in other countries. There are some vocal critics out there who believe that private schools are the best option for preparing America's citizens to compete in the global economy. No, that's just fine for those who can afford it. And there are those who say that high-priced consultants and for-profit educational outfits will give us the competitive edge. Some districts are giving that a try. And as we all know, so far the results have been mixed at best. Where I'm coming from, I see things a little differently. Maybe that's because my entire family and I are products of Missouri's public schools. My mother was an elementary special education teacher in Columbia and the first woman to be president of the local board in DeSoto. My dad was a World War II veteran, and the GI Bill was his ticket to MU, which led him to a career in public service. He went on to become the mayor of our hometown as well as a judge. My wife, Georgiana, is a product of the public school system too. She earned her degrees in education and law from the University of Missouri and is taught in the public school system in Jefferson City. Her father, the late Hubert Wheeler, was a school principal in Aurora and later was a commissioner of education in Missouri from 1946 to 1971. Her mother began her teaching career in a one-room schoolhouse and also taught in Aurora. And our two sons are products of public education. Both of them are now students at the University of Missouri in Columbia. That is why, as governor, I've made strong public education one of my top priorities. And I give you my pledge today that as long as I am your governor, you can count on my commitment to public education and to you. Now, that's not just talk. This year I worked with the Republican-led General Assembly to sign a budget providing record funding for K-12 classrooms, even in the face of our current economic challenges. We also passed a budget that protected Missouri families from a tuition increase at our 2- and 4-year public colleges and universities. While students in other states were facing double-digit tuition spikes, Missouri's youth went back to school this fall without an increase in tuition or academic fees. And just 2 days ago, I negotiated another agreement with the leadership and faculty of our 4-year public institutions. For the second year in a row, in-state undergraduate students at Missouri's 4-year public colleges and universities won't see tuition or academic fees rise by a single penny. The trade-off on the other side is to maintain that predictable funding that's necessary. To have that predictable funding so the leaders of those institutions, like the schools that you work with, will know what money is coming, when it's coming, and can make the decisions necessary to run those schools. Not to have the state step down and do that, but instead to make sure that we're in a situation that predictable funding for education is there. All across the Show Me State, our public schools are strong. because of what you do every day. And I'm not just talking about all the hard work you do from 8 until 3:30 while you're in your classrooms. I'm talking about the hours you put in before class, giving kids extra help with their algebra, or waiting for parents to show up to their teachers' conference. I'm talking about the time you spend after class listening to kids' problems with bullies or boyfriends. I'm talking about the nights you sit at your kitchen table, drinking coffee and grading papers into the wee hours, long after you've checked your own kids' homework and tucked them into bed. I'm talking about the weekends you're out there selling brownies at the football game while your toes and fingers go numb. Or taking a busload of rowdy kids to a band competition, or painting the scenery for the Thanksgiving Day pageant. I'm talking too about the money you take out of your own pocket to buy pencils and notebooks, Kleenex and construction tape. Not to mention the winter coats, sneakers, and canned goods that somehow find their way in our world to the kids that need them. What you do is not easy, but it is a high calling. You are heroes, each and every one of you, and the thousands others in this state that you represent. And you quite frankly don't hear that enough. So let me just say it as your chief executive one more time. You are heroes. Our children, our families, our communities, our state depend on you and your professionalism and commitment.